so check this out real quick, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy story, right? So remember I told y'all, bump the intro, bump all that type of stuff. You know what we doing. You know why you here. So remember a few days ago I told you me and Queen showed our son Final Destination for the first time, right? So I just had a weird moment. I'm sitting here and I see this video and I'm like, yo, this is probably gonna be dope. Let's check this out. And this video is called The 5 Strangest Coincidences in History. So on the thumbnail is a picture of the Titanic. So I'm like, cool. Now, mind you, for the past few months, Queen has been on me about going on a cruise. And I'm like, all right. They've been sending us a bunch of discounted offers and deals and stuff like that. Bunch of discounted deals. And I'm like, all right, maybe I may look into this. $25 for a balcony room, but that's not including additional fees and port costs and all that type of stuff. So I'm thinking about it. And they sending me a bunch of them because they know I like to be in a casino. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, cool. Bro, seeing this video pop up and that at the same time of me looking at that, it was like right after the other. And I'm like, after I looked at this video, I'm like, cool, we gonna check that out. Then I look down at the phone and I'm like, so depending on what this video showed me, I ain't going. Queen gonna be mad at me, but I ain't going, bro. I just, you know how you don't be thinking, you just be gliding through and moving throughout your day. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, now I look up and I see the Titanic, bro. The Titanic. What you call that? Whatever he was seeing in the movie, whatever they was calling them little dreams he was having. I felt that was like a sign or something right there. I ain't going, but we're gonna check this video out, and depending on how this video go, you ain't gonna see it. This is the 5 strange coincidences in history. All right, so if you're new, hit the subscribe button, join the fam, acknowledge the haters, moment of silence for them. That's enough. Now run the lights up. Let's go.
Do you believe in coincidences? Or do you believe there's some larger, possibly nefarious mechanism at work, making weird things happen the way they do? Either way, our civilization's history is full of strange coincidences that are truly bizarre and impossible to explain. Hi, I'm Mr. Mysterious, and today I'll be telling you about 5 of the most intriguing historical coincidences. Whether you believe in fate, or whether you're totally skeptical, take a look at these 5 bizarre events in history before you make up your mind. Hoover Dam. All the way back at the turn of the 20th century, engineers believed that the Black Canyon and nearby Boulder Canyon had some serious potential to support a dam that could produce hydroelectric power, and the Colorado River was the ideal water source. It was the perfect storm for such a grand project, and in 1928, this proposal became a reality. By 1936, the Hoover Dam was completed in its entirety, an impressive 2 years ahead of schedule. Even though this description makes it sound like this was an easy accomplishment, this project remains one of the finest examples of American engineering. There are numerous interesting stories that surround the Hoover Dam, but perhaps the most interesting stories are related to construction workers. Even after 80 years, stubborn myths still cling to the colossal construction effort that built Hoover Dam. Despite what you may have heard, no workers are entombed in the concrete structure. The official death toll from industrial accidents during construction of the Hoover Dam is 96, but historians agree that the actual figure almost certainly is higher. Possibly the most shocking story that surrounds this power station begins with a man named John Gregory Tierney. He was born in 1885 in Piedmont, Missouri. John Gregory made his career as a hard rock miner. His work carried him to Idaho, then Arizona, and finally to a survey camp on the bank of the Colorado River in Boulder Canyon. This unfortunate man drowned on December 20th, 1922, while looking for an ideal spot for the dam. It took almost 2 weeks for news of his death to reach Las Vegas from the remote worksite. Newspapers offered differing accounts of what happened, but the endings were the same. JG disappeared into the water, and his body was never found. John Gregory's son, Patrick William Tierney, was 12 when he lost his father to the Colorado, and his grief-stricken mother moved with him back to Missouri. They settled in the Springfield area, where Patrick went to high school and met his future wife. Not long after Patrick and his wife welcomed their son in 1931, the young family headed west in search of work in the deepening Depression. The dam was the biggest construction project going, and Patrick may have thought he could parlay sympathy over his father's death into a job there.
Would you do? Man, could y'all work after knowing my pops was killed here? I don't think I could do it, man. Because one thing about a job like this, we already know it's inherently dangerous, right? So you gotta be laser focused. You don't need no distractions in your mind. You don't need no second guessing. Because this is a precision type focused job. And I don't know if I could be 100% focused because I always be thinking about my pops. You know, how did he die? Is this where he could have died? Was he died when doing this? If I make a mistake, am I dying like my pops? What today is gonna bring? Like each day would be a mental hurdle to try to get over. Like I don't know. And the people that if they hire him, they should be smart enough to know, man, not to even hire him. It's just, I don't know, either put him in an office away from the site and let him do something there in relation to this, but not on the actual dam itself.
According to newspaper accounts, an electrician's helper fell 320 feet from one of the 2 intake towers on the Arizona side of the stream on December 20th, 1935. This was the last death on the project's official fatality list. What's shocking is that this electrician's helper was Patrick Tierney. His father's death was the first death caused by this massive construction project, and Patrick's death was the very last death before the dam started to work. This incredible story is still being told by tour guides to those who decide to visit this magnificent power plant.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's why I said I could have never have done it going to work. I could have never went to work there, knowing my pops died there. And then for you to die there, like if I'm somebody who is in his immediate family, I wouldn't even drive near that. I wouldn't even go like anywhere close to that. No, heck no.
The Titanic.
Here we go.
14 years prior to Titanic's maiden voyage, in 1898, author Morgan Robertson wrote and published a novel called The Wreck of the Titan. The story features the ocean liner named Titan, which sinks in the North Atlantic after striking an iceberg. The Titan was described as the largest craft afloat and the greatest of the works of men, equal to that of a first-class hotel, and, of course, unsinkable. From today's perspective, it seems like Robertson somehow predicted the rise and fall of Titanic. However, this historical coincidence is much more mysterious and intriguing than you can imagine. Although the novel was written before the Olympic-class Titanic had even been designed, there are some remarkable similarities between the fictional and real-life counterparts. Both ships were British-owned steel vessels, both around 800 feet long, and sank after hitting an iceberg in the North Atlantic in April, around midnight. Like the Titanic, the fictional ship sank in April in the North Atlantic, and there were not enough lifeboats for the passengers. There are also striking similarities between the size and life-saving equipment. The latest technology was used in the building of the Titan, including the addition of 19 watertight compartments. With 9 compartments flooded, the ship would still float, and as no known incident of the sea could possibly fill this many, the steamship Titan was considered practically unsinkable. Because Titan was considered unsinkable, she only carried the minimum number of lifeboats required by law, 24, able to carry about 500 people. This was not enough for the 2,000 passengers on board. Morgan Robertson's Titan hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean and sank. 2,987 people died in the disaster. Morgan Robertson republished his novel after the sinking of the Titanic, with some notable changes, suggesting that he was trying to cash in on the Titanic disaster. Nevertheless, the similarities between the Titan and Titanic are striking.
I always go back to that moment when I was in elementary school and they showed us that video and we sat there and we watched it, and you know, it was emotional for the teacher even showing it to us, and the people jumping off the boat and into the water, and just you could that I don't think you could ever, like, you just can't get over that. Seeing it even on video, we weren't there, but seeing it on video just did something to you, man. Messed you up. Just knowing what people had to go through, endure, and then how many lives that were lost by an unsinkable ship. Whew. Yeah, Carnival might not be happening, bro. Y'all shouldn't have said. They sent this. They actually sent me that email today. Today, mind y'all. Today.
Violet Jessup. Occasionally, historical events are so anomalous that sometimes it seems impossible that they could be factual. Such is the case with Miss Violet Jessup, the 24-year-old stewardess who was working on Titanic's maiden voyage. Violet was born and raised in Argentina, and she was the oldest child of Irish immigrants. As a young child, she contracted tuberculosis and was given just a few months to live. Somehow, she managed to fight the disease and went on to live a long, healthy life. Upon moving to England, she became a stewardess on a ship. At first, she had a hard time finding a job. Employers believed that her youth and good looks would be a disadvantage to her. At that time, most women working as stewardesses were middle-aged. After being hired by the White Star Line, she began working on the line's Majestic, switching to the Olympic in 1910. It was just 1 year later when the trouble started. In 1911, the Olympic collided with the HMS Hawke, which, surprisingly enough, was a ship designed to sink other, older ships by ramming them. Even though the Olympic suffered massive damage, it didn't sink. Not long after, Violet accepted work on the famous Titanic. As you already know, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sunk, killing more than 1,500 people. The young stewardess escaped the disaster on Lifeboat 16. Once again, Violet lived to sail another day. In the lead up to World War I, she decided to serve as a nurse on board the Titanic's sister ship, Britannic, which operated in the Aegean Sea.
Yeah, I think I remember this story, bro. It's just some people that's just supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? They've survived some things you just hear, you be like, how? You know what I mean? She was like the 50 Cent of her time. She didn't take 9 bullets, but she survived a lot.
Given her track record, you can probably imagine what happened next. The Britannic ran into a mine that had been planted by a German U-boat. The ship sustained substantial damage and quickly started to sink. This time, Violet wasn't lucky enough to jump into a lifeboat. Instead, she jumped overboard. She later joked that she only survived because of her thick hair, which cushioned the blow. Having survived 3 accidents and being a victim of a series of strange coincidences, Violet decided to take a break from being a ship stewardess. However,
I bet the passengers thanked her. I would have got on the boat and be like, yo, is Violet on here? Oh, yeah, she's in the back. All right, cool. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Y'all go ahead. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Violet's on there. Yeah, tell her I said hello. I'm going to send help for y'all once y'all pull off. I'm going to send help. Y'all going to need it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting on the boat with her.
She soon went back to work, working on Royal Mail ships until she retired at the age of 61. She died in 1971 at the age of 84.
Wow.
The Erdington Murders. Erdington is a quaint suburb of Birmingham, England, that dates back to the 9th century. The Old English community has undoubtedly seen its share of historical events that are still remembered by the locals. However, there is a dark chapter in the community's history that continues to haunt its residents. The unsolved murders of 2 young women with details too similar to ignore, right down to the date of their grisly deaths. The creepier part is that these 2 incidents happened 157 years apart. At 6:30 a.m. on May 27, 1817, a laborer named George Jackson came across a bundle of clothing, a hat, and shoes near a water-filled pit. He alerted locals, who found the body of Mary Ashford with bruising on her arms, presumably raped before her death. The prime suspect was a man named Abraham Ashford, who was romantically involved with Mary. However, Abraham claimed his innocence. Despite this, his trial began on August 8th, and public opinion was convinced of his guilt. Nevertheless, 3 witnesses were able to corroborate Abraham's alibi. This, in conjunction with a lack of concrete evidence, led the jury to deliver a not guilty verdict. The unsolved murder of Mary Ashford left a deep wound on the Erdington community. Exactly 157 years later, that wound would be reopened in a painfully similar case. On May 27, 1974, another 20-year-old woman was murdered and left in a ditch near Chester Road in Erdington.
What that sound like to y'all? Somebody who knows the history of that area and is a copycat. Straight up copycat. It straight up sound like that.
In the exact same spot where Mary Ashford was found.
Copycat.
A young woman's body, which showed signs of rape and strangulation, was discovered a few days after death. This woman was identified as Barbara Forrest, and reports state that Barbara was with her boyfriend, Simon Belcher, on the evening of her death, dancing at several bars. Belcher said he walked her to the bus at 1 a.m., and that was the last time he saw her. A manhunt ensued, involving over 100 detectives, and once again, authorities zeroed in on a suspect, named Michael Ian Thornton. The suspect was put on trial. However, the man was found not guilty due to a lack of evidence. Both murders remain unsolved to this day. Some view the parallels between the cases as mere coincidence, while others see them as signs of something sinister. One thing is for certain, the people of Erdington continue to search for answers to these strangely similar cases. Deus Ex. For those who don't know, Deus Ex is a game series that blends RPG and FPS genres in a science fiction setting. It's often considered one of the greatest PC game series of all time, having garnered Game of the Year awards on several occasions. There are numerous myths that surround this game, but perhaps the most intriguing one is connected to the World Trade Center and the terrorist attacks that happened on September 11th, 2001. The original Deus Ex game was released in 2000. While playing the original Deus Ex, you'll be set on several missions throughout Liberty City. And here, if you check out New York City in the background, you'll notice something rather conspicuous. The World Trade Center towers are missing. The official explanation given in the game is that the towers were taken out by a terrorist attack. A mere year later, the Twin Towers were indeed destroyed by terrorists in the infamous 9/11 tragedy. People quickly pointed to Deus Ex, thus predicting the future, and began wondering how much more it would accurately predict.
See, that's kind of like The Simpsons. I'm still thinking they need to be under investigation for a lot of stuff they predict, bro. I'm just saying. It's like The Simpsons.
The true reason you cannot find the Twin Towers in the game is merely due to the engine's limitation at the time. The developers simply could not fit the towers in, as they were forced to crop the skyline in order to fit within these limitations. Those still claiming that it had to have simply predicted this attack may have also forgotten that the World Trade Center was a target even before 9/11. Back in 1993, for instance, there was an attack in which terrorists parked a rental van in a garage underneath the towers and lit the fuses on a massive bomb. This attack could have easily inspired the idea the World Trade Center would eventually be destroyed by a terrorist organization, as the game itself explains. I'm sure we can all agree that this is a very strange and even ominous coincidence. Deus Ex's developers wanted to create a fictional story, but in the end, it happened for real. The September 11th attacks killed 2,996 people and injured over 6,000 others. What do you think about these strange coincidences? In case you know of some other similar stories, please feel free to share them in the comments section below.
That's the big question. Do you believe in coincidences? I guess I should have asked y'all that in the beginning. But do you? That's the big question. Because some people don't. Some people do. I don't know how I feel, but I told you at the beginning of the video, man, seeing that email, then seeing the video, it's just like, if you don't pay attention to the signs, then how do you end up? I don't know. Y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what you think. This was a crazy video. Super dope. I'm gone. Peace.